Good morning, everyone. It is Rolly here, but it's good afternoon where Lisa is. So, Lisa is one of these people that I have been talking about, saying that we have been privileged to have people from across the world. So, we have people from Australia and the UK. And I believe, Lisa, you're from the UK?
I am, yes, I am.
Yes.
Yeah,
So, because it's hard to keep track of who's who.
yeah.
So, so Lisa's coming to us from the UK, and you said that it's 1 o'clock in the afternoon where you are?
It is, yeah, it is lunchtime on this very wet, grey day, as usual in the UK.
So is it's usually grey days in
Well,
the
actually, we've had some beautiful sunshine, but it's been very, very cold. And now we're also having some kind of cold Arctic front coming down, from up the Arctic. And then now we've got some warm front, I think, coming from Africa. So we're having some weird, it's really mild at the moment, but it's raining. So it's kind of wet.
Yeah, yes. So we're getting a little bit of snow. So not the snow that they were talking about from down south. We normally have snow, so that's not unusual for us. But
I think in Texas, I think they've had snow in Texas or something. Is that right? It's kind of crazy.
Yes, actually, I have a few friends that are in Texas, and they've actually been talking about snow for them. And there's a couple of other states that are also receiving snow.
Yeah,
so we normally get snow. We're way up in northeastern Ontario in Canada, so that we're pretty far north. And so we always have snow. That's not something that is unusual for us. It's unusual for us not to have snow. So,
I can imagine.
So we've had a few winters where everything's been really mild right up through till Christmas. And it's like, hey, there's no snow. Not that I ever complain about that one. So that's definitely don't complain about not having snow.
Yeah. But you're probably a bit more prepared for it, aren't you, than somebody in Texas, I imagine.
Yeah, we're a little bit more prepared. So we typically know when snow is coming, and typically know when snow is leaving. So that's not too bad. So, so Lisa, tell me a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I am a master hypnotherapist and inspirational storyteller. I say storyteller because that's what I do. I tell stories. It's the way that we can teach and inspire. It's a very impactful way of reaching the subconscious in a kind of indirect way, because the audience, the listener, then takes the pieces that is relevant to them without you having to sort of teach them, really. Basically, and my speech as well is kind of the journey of how I became a master hypnotherapist. And so, I focus on really empowering women. My main focus is confidence, is self-love and self-worth. So, which is why this conference is really completely, I feel like I fit right in, because that is my focus of my work. My work is the self-love aspect and self-belief, and really that sort of is where everything stems from in terms of our the narratives that we tell ourselves, and how we project outwards. Really, it's not really what happens outside of ourselves. It's really what happens inside, and the narratives we tell ourselves as humans, as women, because obviously I work with women mostly, but as humans.
And I love that in terms of that storytelling, because it really is about, and that's with everyone that is actually sharing their own journey or sharing their own story, or how they impact their own clients with using the things and the tools that they're using. And with the conferences that we've had in the past, because this is our fourth, and so with the conferences that we've had in the past, there's always, through people sharing their own stories and people sharing their own journey, that people are like, hey, that sounds a little like me. Hey, that sounds a little like me. So I love how the fact that what it is that you do really kind of points out that that's one of the things that happens within our own journeys, is that as someone else is sharing their own journey, that we have that those aha moments that allows us to be able to kind of go like, hey, just a minute, I'm not much different.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's also about it's the stories within the stories as well, because it's the stories about, because we all have a story, something that's happened to pretty much every single one of us, right? We all have a story. We all have things that happen to us that we can't control. But it's kind of that narrative of how we view and understand and make sense of that event, that story. So it's kind of stories within stories, isn't it, really? So
yes, it definitely is. And because it, like I said, or like you said, I should say, is that you said it's those stories within stories. So it's those things that we tell ourselves and how that impacts us. So 10 people can attend the same event and experience the exact same, physically and visually attend the exact same event, but yet when they retell, it is different for each and every person. And so it's really interesting to see how those perspectives change from one person to the next.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's funny because I was on a podcast about a year ago, actually, with a Navy SEAL commander, and he said kind of exactly the similar thing. He was saying that he would take his guys out on this exercise, and there'd be about 20 of them, and they'd all experience exactly the same thing, doing exactly the same thing, the same mission, and they would come back to camp, to base, and each of them would have to tell the account, what happened, what they saw. And he said you'd have all 20 of them telling a completely different version of the exact same thing. So it's really all about perspectives and how we view and our own internal belief system, really. And what's important is whether those beliefs are serving us, really. It's not about whether we are right or wrong. It's about, are they serving us as individuals and making us more fulfilled and happier moving forward in our lives, really.
And that's beautiful, because like there's sometimes that at the time, whatever our beliefs were, serve us. It allows us to be able to protect ourselves or to be able to move forward wherever it is that we are. But then sometimes we get stuck in those old beliefs of wherever it is that we are, and that we need to continue to hang on to those stories, and being able to release them allows us to be able to take us to that next level. So I love that. I love that. So it's definitely an interesting, not an interesting perspective. Well, I guess technically it is interesting, but it's a really great in terms of being able to hear that perspective of, because a lot of times I talk with people and we do meditation and we ask people to like release whatever it is that no longer serves us. And sometimes that's where people get stuck. It's like, well, what is it? What am I supposed to? And so I love how you actually said it's that narrative that, or those beliefs that we actually tell ourselves, and it served a purpose at the time, but now what is it that we need to be doing so that it no longer serves us and we get to move on to the next level, right?
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of my story. Is the name of my speech is "Worthless Victim to Worthy Victor," and at one point I was a victim, but I don't consider myself. It doesn't mean I have to stay a victim. Something happened to me that I didn't have any control over, and I obviously I went through something, a traumatic experience, as many people have done. But it doesn't have to define my life going forward. I'm not a perpetual victim. I'm not a survivor either. I don't consider myself to be a survivor, because again, that word implies just existing, and I don't consider myself to exist. So I think, the narratives, the words that we use are so important, not the words of other people, but the words that we tell ourselves and how we view it changes our whole perspective, really. So for me, it's all about the language as well, language we use for ourselves, which is important. So make this distinction, it's not the words that other people say about us, it's the words that we say about ourselves.
Yeah.
So,
and I think the words that we tell ourselves are the ones that are most detrimental when we're in that negative spin, right? When we're in that spin of things not being helpful. Like, so in terms of being able to say, using the word victim as opposed to victor. Right. So those different ways of being able to just kind of shift our way of perceiving the situation, so that we can actually then find that bright light that allows us to be able to kind of move forward. So I love that. That's beautiful.
Yeah. I mean, of course, obviously, when somebody's going through something, because I was having a conversation with a friend of mine the other day, and she was saying, I'm so proud of you for what you're doing and everything, because she's been there throughout the whole, I've known her for 28 years or something, so she's kind of been with me throughout my whole life, and I've been on this journey. And she was saying, this event, this trauma, this thing that happened to you, she's going, it's kind of like the best thing that ever happened to you. Now, if she had said that to me at the time, I'm pretty sure she wouldn't be my friend now. But, you know, because I've been on a journey and I've come through that, and I can look back and say, actually, you know, it helped me move forward, and I've reframed it. Again, you know, not to take away from somebody who's actually going through something, because at the time, of course, you're going to feel, you know, pretty rubbish, and you're going to be healing. It's a healing process. But certainly, looking back, we can let go of those narratives and things that don't serve us at the right time. Of course, at the right time, I think. So that's important to note.
Because like you said, at the moment, it's not something that necessarily that we want to hear or that we need to hear. And but then as we move through and it becomes part of our past and part of our journey, it allows us to be able to go through those different stages, right? So yesterday I actually jumped on a live after having several conversations with several people who were just feeling completely overwhelmed with a lot of different things. So it just seemed to be the whole narrative yesterday in terms of conversations that I was having with people. And so then it was like, and I was going to go live simply in one particular area. And because I was going to address one particular situation. And then it was like, just a minute, I think that more people, so I went in and shared that in more of my groups, and as well as on my profile, because it just was that whole narrative of where we're feeling with feeling completely useless and not feeling like we're capable of anything, because we're just in that complete overwhelm. And depending on what's going on in our lives, it's not an uncommon situation, and we don't stay in that overwhelm. And but in the moment, in the thick of things, that's just where we feel like we are at our biggest challenge, right? So
absolutely, yeah, I did watch that. Yeah, no, I mean, I think we all go through those moments, and it's okay to feel, you know, if you need to have a little cry or take yourself away or have a break. I think it's important to do what you need to do in that time. But also, it's nice to hear that, you know, it's a collective thing, isn't it? We're all kind of going through similar things at the moment, and it's nice to share, for somebody else to share that, and not to feel so alone, because it's like, it's okay, you know, we'll get through this. And
well, and especially when we're in those thick of those heavy emotions, right? So when we're in the thick of those, whatever heavy emotions it is, overwhelm was the emotion that I targeted yesterday, but we get into those thick of those emotions. And when we are in, hey, Crystal, when we're in that thick of the emotion of happiness, nobody complains about those ones, right? No. So we do have those thick of moments when everything is grand and everything is happy, but those are not the ones that we like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that I'm just so happy and I just can't get out of this mood. Right? So when we're in those, it's when we're in those heavier emotions, which other people will actually feel that those are bad emotions, and they're not. They serve its purpose. It just allows us to be able to have that perspective of when we're in the thick of whatever emotions that we're feeling. So when we're feeling euphoric because everything is going great and everything is fantastic, it's not something that is bad, nor is it bad for us to feel in that overwhelm. So
no, that's part. I think it's the yin and yang of life. I think, because I always say, you know, if you have to feel, you have to know what it is. It's otherwise you're going to flatline through life, right? You're just going to kind of not feel anything. If you want to feel the joy, you're going to have to know what it's like to not feel joy. So it's kind of like a nice roller coaster. You know, I think if you like a bit of it's like the chug of a roller coaster, isn't it? You're going up and up and up a hill, and it's terrifying, and it's, you know, but then you've got the thrill of the down. So it's kind of, it's like the balance of life. I think we have to accept that it can't be happy all the time. We're going to have those moments, and it's absolutely fine. It's okay. It's just when we get sucked in and we dwell on those moments, that's when it becomes, it's recognizing when it's just normal, and when it becomes a bit more something that we need a bit of help getting out of. And I think that's the difference, isn't it?
It is. And I think that that's one of the things that's really important for us to be able to remember, is that it is, like you said, it is that yin and yang. It's those roller coaster moments. And sometimes our roller coaster is pretty high, and we need to like really take a long trip to be able to get to that peak. And I think that sometimes that's a little bit more challenging, right? So but yeah, so it's being able to get there. So one of the things that I wanted to be able to share really quickly is that inside this description of this video is the link for the conference. Registrations closes on the 18th. However, the Valentine's Day special that was supposed to expire yesterday didn't expire. There was a promo email that went out, and it had a typo and had the wrong time. So rather than go back and have anyone go back and retract the email, we just decided that we would it was easier for us to just change the date on the system. So we changed the date. So so it will not expire until 2:22 p.m. today. So anybody who still had not had a chance to register. And one of the things that I said on the live yesterday as well is for anyone who is watching and they're like, I really want to be able to go, but I don't get paid until Friday. Send me a message and we can see what we can figure out. So we can possibly do an email that will, or an outside invoice that will allow it not to go through the system in the same way. So whatever it is, we can try and figure something out. So reach out if this is something that you've really wanted to be able to do and you don't know that you're going to be able to before it expires on Thursday. Just simply reach out and let us know. We do have a payment plan for anybody who is not able to make it as a full payment. That is available as well. So like there's a few options of things that we can do. So because that's one of the things that I hear often is I'd really like to, but, right? So shoot us a message and let us know what that but is, and let's see what we can try and figure out to be able to help move through whatever it is that you would like to be able to have. Because having somebody like Lisa who's going to be sharing her journey and having experiences from all of the other 24 women who are going to be sharing their journeys, as well as our exhibitors who are not necessarily sharing their journey in a formal manner, but they're going to be sharing their journey in either products or services or who they are, and they're going to be part of those discussions, those group discussions that are going to be there. And so definitely, if there's something that we can do to be able to help you get through this and to be able to participate, it's definitely not something that you want to be able to miss. This is the first year that we actually get to take this particular conference worldwide, and that it is, and it's very, very dear to my heart. So I'm looking forward to being able to share this with all of you and share Lisa with you. And I believe we've confirmed that Lisa is going to be speaking on Saturday morning, our Saturday morning.
Yeah. 11 a.m. Yeah.
What time will it be for you, Lisa?
I think it's going to be I think you'll still be 5 hours behind. Is that right? Yeah. So probably 4 p.m. 4 p.m. So it's perfect.
Yeah, so it's definitely something that is exciting, is that even those time changes, right? So it's like, okay, so who's doing that? I just say, this is my time zone. You guys let me know, because this is what time zone that I'm in. That's the world that I'm living in. Because if you try and ask me to figure out the time zones, I generally don't do so well, especially the ones overseas, because it's like, okay, are you still in today or
no,
tomorrow?
Australia for you, I guess. Like Heidi's, I don't know, she's like a day ahead of you or something, isn't she?
Well, and then you guys have to figure out that, we're still behind, right? So I think, who's the other person? Heidi is
she's
Heidi in Australia, and so when she speaks, it's actually going to be the next day. So she's going to be, I think it's 7:30 p.m. for us, and she's starting her day. Going to be speaking. So it's actually really interesting how just a few, like, it's not just a few kilometers, but I mean, like across the seas or whatever, like that whole shifting in time and space. So it's really interesting. Like, we're used to our time zones here in Canada, where we go a couple of hours before, a couple of hours after across Canada. But when we go beyond that, then it's like, okay, so what day are we still in?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
But I suppose that's one thing that I guess the pandemic, because it brought you forward for doing it virtually, didn't you? Because you were going to be doing it next year virtual. Is that right? Is that what you planned to do?
Yeah, so the plan for it was, so we were, because we've been doing it in person, and so for year 5, so our 5th anniversary, the plan was to be able to do a hybrid event. So we were going to do in person and then go beyond and have it so that it was like both in terms of the of being able to celebrate our 5th anniversary. And so the plan is still to do that. But this year, with COVID and all the craziness in the world, we actually get to do virtual. And so we get to have that whole experience of, okay, what's all the tech stuff and all the back end things that we may not necessarily have thought about because of the fact that we would be doing it hybrid. So it's been interesting because it's given me a lot of different things that it's like, oh, I never thought about that. Oh, just a minute. That's not going to work this year. Right. So
hats off to you for doing a great job. I'm so not technologically minded at all. So well done to you guys for pulling it off, pulling it together. So,
well, thank you. And we've got an excellent team, and we've got excellent support behind the scenes like you and some of the other speakers and our exhibitors, because without all the people that are surrounding this event, it wouldn't be the same. And so I'm very thankful and grateful to have all of you having stepped up and said, hey, I want to do this. So I'm really thankful that this was definitely in alignment with you. So I want to wish everyone well and have a fabulous day. And thank you so much, Lisa, for joining and being here with not just today, but as part of the conference as well.
Well, I'd just like to say thank you very much for inviting me. I'm completely blown away. I just can't wait. So thank you so much for the opportunity to.
Okay, so have a great day, everyone. And again, if you guys need some help with registration or there's something around the registration that you need to talk about, please reach out, and Teresa and I will be happy to help you. Okay, talk to you guys soon. Bye for now.